That little number at the bottom of your credit card statement, the minimum payment, it looks like the bank doing you a favor.
Yeah, let me show you what it actually does. You owe 3 grand. You pay the minimum, call it 60 bucks. And of that 60,
$5 touches what you owe. 5. The other 55 is interest. Gone. Vapor. You made a payment and the debt basically didn't move. And that's not a glitch. That's the most profitable number they print. In 2026, almost 6 in 10 Gen Z cardholders pay exactly it. Every single month, like clockwork. Okay, hang on. I want to be precise here because this isn't a banks are evil, throw your card in the ocean video. The card's a tool. The minimum payment, though, that specific line, it's not there to help you. It's there because it works. So let's take it apart because once it clicks, you start spotting it on every statement you get. And that's kind of the whole point. Here's the first thing nobody tells you. The minimum payment isn't a fixed plan. It's not the amount the bank decided you should pay to get out of this. It's a percentage. Usually somewhere between 1 and 2% of whatever you currently owe. That's the whole formula. 2% of 3 grand is 60 bucks. That's where our 60 comes from. And because it's a percentage of the balance, watch this, as the balance goes down, even a tiny bit, the minimum goes down with it. So the payment shrinks right alongside the debt. You're always paying a little less, which means it stretches out and out and out. It follows the balance down like a shadow, never gets ahead of it. And here's the part that makes it land. At a 22% APR, which, by the way, is roughly what Gen Z is paying right now, the highest of any generation, so you specifically are getting the worst rate in the room. 22% a year is about 1.83% a month on the full balance every month. So the interest is eating almost the entire minimum before a single dollar gets anywhere near the thing you actually borrowed. The minimum's set just high enough to feel like progress and just low enough that almost none of it is. You're not paying down a debt. You're renting it. So really, it's just a percentage. There's no actual plan baked into any of it. So, okay, here's where I stop talking and the math takes over. And honestly, the math is a lot meaner than I am. This is the minimum payment calculator inside Money Habits. There's a toggle on it called Scary Mode, which I genuinely thought was a marketing gimmick the first time I saw it. It is not a gimmick. You'll see. So, balance, $3,000. And that's not a number I picked to scare you. That's almost dead on the average a Gen Z cardholder's carrying right now, around $3,500. So this is basically your statement. A PR, 22%. And we tell it, just pay the minimum, nothing else. The responsible-looking thing. And we run it all the way out, 14 years. To clear $3,000 paying the minimum. And in interest, over that whole stretch, you hand them around $3,647. Read that again. The interest is bigger than the thing you bought. You borrowed 3 grand, and you paid for it twice. A pair of AirPods, a flight home, whatever it was. 14 years later, you're still quietly paying it off, and you forgot what it even was. And I know, 14 years is an abstraction. Nobody can feel 14 years. So Scary Mode does this other thing. And this is the part that actually got me. It zooms all the way in on month 1. The very first payment. You pay your 60 bucks like a responsible adult. The calculator splits it for you live. 55 of those dollars, interest. $5. 5 actually lands on the debt. So next month, you owe $2,995 instead of $3,000. You made a payment. The statement literally says payment received, gives you the little green check mark, you feel fine for a second, and the balance basically didn't move. That's the trap. And it's an emotional one before it's a financial one. It feels like you paid it down. The receipt says you paid it down. the balance just sits there going, no, you didn't. The principal versus interest bar for month 1, a sliver of green, a wall of red. The math isn't mathing because it was never supposed to math. Not for you. 14 years for $3,000. Okay, most videos about this just leave you angry and let you scroll on. And anger doesn't pay anything down. So I'm not doing that to you. So here's the actual fix, and it comes down to one number. The same calculator shows it to you. Don't pay the minimum, pay a fixed amount. And here's the distinction that does all the work. It's not about a bigger number, it's about a fixed number. Those aren't the same thing, and the difference is the entire game. Watch. Remember why the minimum traps you. It shrinks as the balance shrinks, forever chasing the debt down and never catching it. A fixed payment doesn't shrink. You decide it's $150 a month, full stop, and it stays $150 whether you owe $3,000 or $300. So the interest takes its cut, and everything left over, instead of being $5, slams straight into the principal. And it gets bigger every month because the interest portion's shrinking while your payment isn't. It's the trap running in reverse. The shadow's chasing you now. So in the calculator, we leave everything else exactly the same. Same $3,000, same brutal 22%. We just drag the payment up to $150 a month and hold it there. 14 years becomes about 26 months, give or take. And the interest drops from $3,600 to under $800. You just kept roughly $2,500 that was going to be theirs, and nothing else changed. Same balance, same rate, same paycheck. You just paid a fixed number instead of the shrinking one. 150 isn't magic, by the way. Anything meaningfully above the minimum and fixed bends the curve. The lesson's rule of thumb is pay at least 3 times the minimum, or just set a flat number higher than what they ask and never let it drop. The point isn't the exact figure. The point is you set it, they don't. So that's the switch. A fixed payment instead of the minimum, and nothing else has to change. The minimum's their number, not yours. So pick one and hold it. And look, $3,000 at 22%, that's the example. It's probably not your exact situation. Your balance is your balance. Your rate might be worse, might be better. So if you want to see your own number, the real one, not the demo, there's a tool that runs it in like 3 minutes. It's the Money Habits app, and the thing you want is that same minimum payment calculator with scary mode, the one I just used. You type in your balance, you type in your APR, it's printed right on your statement. You don't connect a bank account, you don't log into anything, you just type 2 numbers, and it shows you your payoff date and your total interest on the minimum. The real 14 years for you figure. Then you drag the payment up and watch your own years collapse. Live. That part's free. Try it tonight.
And if you want the whole thing pulled apart deeper than I can do it here,
The full breakdown's a lesson inside the app called The Minimum Payment Trap. But you don't need the lesson to get the shock. The free calculator hands you your 14 years number on its own. Start there. Oh, and one thing that costs you nothing and takes 10 seconds. Pull up your most recent statement, the paper one or the PDF. There's a box on it, by law, that tells you exactly how long you'll be paying if you only ever pay the minimum. It's required to be there. Almost nobody reads it. Go read yours. The minimum payment will still be there next month. Printed at the bottom, small, polite, waiting. The bank already knows most people will just pay it. That's not a guess. That's the business model. That's the 6 in 10. The whole thing only works on the people who never look.